All right, thanks for tuning in today. Today, our guest is Romina from RedRomina. She was actually a guest back on episode 3. That was over 30 episodes ago, so that was very early in this podcast. Romina has over 67,000 Facebook followers, almost 30,000 Instagram followers, about 25,000 YouTube subscribers, 10,000 ish Twitter followers, and she just recently started a Discord server that's almost 300 members already. So she's all over the place. She's got nice numbers across the board. She does a lot of travel related videos and helping people get out of their 9 to 5. But I just wanted to say thanks for taking the time to come in and share with us today, Romina.
Thanks so much for having me.
So can I just get you to give us like a quick spiel about what your brand is all about?
Sure. So I guess that my focus is telling stories. I guess that's kind of what I tell people. I like to tell my own stories and then help other people tell their stories. Usually that involves some kind of like production. So I do have my own digital media and film production company where I do that kind of stuff. And then also online, as you said, I have my YouTube channel and I create content online.
Okay. And I don't remember you having the digital production company last time we talked. Is that something that's new?
No, actually. I've actually been producing since 2008. So I've done a number of feature films, short films, web series, and then the content that I do online, and then also producing content for other people and brands and figures and stuff like that.
Okay. So you've been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess last time we just talked about the Red
Yeah,
Romina
just talking about.
specifically.
Yeah.
All right. So can you tell us maybe like a person that you've impacted recently as a result of sharing? Does anything come to mind?
Oh man. I guess the biggest thing has been creating the Discord server for Create IRL, which is a creative collective that I've created. How many times can we say the word created on this podcast? Um, yeah, it's I guess that's probably been the one that's like closest and had the most impact. Mainly because I started this Discord server in January, and I've only been releasing 100 invites every month since then. And as you said, we're nearing 300 members, I guess is what they're called. Um, yeah, we're nearing 300 members, and it's um, it's interesting just seeing the comments that people make because I don't really think about it that way. And I do read, even if I'm not like engaging in the server all the time. I try to read everything that's going on in there, and I do read people writing stuff about how they appreciate that they have this community now,
Okay.
and that they didn't have it before, or that it's given them another perspective, because Create IRL is pretty broad. So it's not just video people. We have voiceover actors, we have streamers, podcasters, writers. So we have, a very diverse group of individuals who are creative. But yeah, I think that's
So
probably
you're seeing that just having a community and getting people in there, they're sort of engaging with each other, and then you're seeing that people are getting value out of that. So it's sort of like a
right. Yeah.
nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
actually engaged there a little bit too. So let's talk about that community then, because that seems like is that would you say like one of your bigger, more recent focuses is building this Create IRL community? Or I guess before we dive deep into something, I just want to make sure that's the right place to go.
Sure. I guess I am working on a number of different things. I did also launch another channel, which is my Remote Romina channel, where I'll be discussing working from home and freelancing and all that stuff. Um, and that I guess is something that I'm working on. But it's again, it's all like all these things are just extra things because I just have a lot to share. So it's all very trying to appease the algorithm gods. Um, but as far as the community, yeah, that is something that's pretty big right now. I plan on releasing invites every month, and then closing off invites. So kind of keeping it as a close knit, kind of exclusive group, growing gradually.
I like that. So Red Romina is more of a travel brand, and now you just started a remote Romina, which is more of like a working from home brand.
Right. Yeah. And the reason that I did that is because I was starting to introduce that kind of content onto my RedRomina platform, like my YouTube channel. And I realized that those kinds of videos, although they did well, they weren't doing so well with my already audience. And I feel like maybe part of the reason is because um, when people are traveling, they probably already have a job or have a business. And so they're just looking for advice on where to go, what to do, or maybe they just want to see, the pretty things that there are to see in the world through my videos. So they're not necessarily trying to learn about remote work or like freelance or how to start their business or entrepreneurship or where to invest their money. Like they're probably not looking for that kind of stuff on that particular channel. Which is the reason why I decided to create this other channel so that when I do make content like that, it has a home and it has its own audience.
Okay. And you're saying that it's better to split those out as opposed to having like an intermittent video on your travel channel about working from home and stuff like that.
Right. I found that it has. And I only say that because I did do the remote stuff for almost a year, I think. I was doing the remote stuff on that channel. And so, I mean, the stats were kind of there, the analytics, as far as viewer retention and just kind of like who's watching, because on YouTube you can see if it's subscribers or non-subscribers or how they find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm curious then, as far as your time and effort goes, are you worried that creating a second YouTube channel is going to be distracting to you, or it's separating some focus from when you could be creating more content on Red Romina or something else?
No, mainly because I will get outsourced work for that. So if I need to, in order for it to be sustainable, I'm going to have somebody to help me with all that stuff. And I do already have like 2 other channels. But again, it's just stuff that I post to when I have that kind of content so that my Red Romina travel channel doesn't tank the way that it did because of the algorithm. So
I see.
So even if I have one video, I have this idea. So I'm actually really good at making animal noises.
Well, if you like to demonstrate any of those, love to hear some.
So I created another channel, which is Romina with a side of French fries. And that channel is supposed to be my comedy channel. But thus far, I've only posted the one video where I make animal noises. So it's really just a place for me to put my stuff out there and not so much, create like a whole thing because I can't do that, I'd be spreading myself too thin.
Right.
But I want to make the video where I make the animal noises. So I made the video and I can't post it to Red Romina because if I did that, everyone would be like, what? This isn't a country that you're visiting. What is this?
Right.
So that's mainly why.
So your biggest concern is the fact that you're posting a video that's not performing as well as the other videos that you have on there because it's not as consistent, and that
Right.
dip in performance is affecting your analytics, so
Right.
that it's hurting the future videos that are related to your channel.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
glad you understand that. A lot of people are like, what are you doing with all these channels? I'm like, I need to express myself, but the algorithm.
All right, we can chop this piece out, and you can have this clip to send them anytime you need to explain it.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, so then, so you've got your main Romina channel. You've got the side channels that you sort of just intermittently throw things at. You've got your production company, and you've got Create IRL as far as the bulk of your sharing journey, and of course, doing services for other people at the production company.
Mhm.
So do you have a team that you work with then? Is that, to help you manage some of this stuff?
So the managing stuff I do myself, but I have an outsourced video editor, and she mainly helps me with my own stuff. So I do actually enjoy making content. So
Right.
um, like I don't want to outsource everything and just be the boss. Like I do want to be part of what I'm doing. Um, so I do let my video editor work on my own projects for right now. And then I work on the stuff that people contact me for. Um,
Okay. And that sort of lets you, get ramp up the person on your stuff that's a little bit less,
right.
pressure than a client's work.
Right, exactly. And then also, I mean, my video editor, she's great. She loves to travel as well. And I've been working with her for a few years now. And so it just kind of fits really well. As soon as I hired her, like I didn't even give her any instructions. I sent her some raw footage and then I sent her my YouTube channel and I said, I want to see what you can do. And I went to sleep and then the next morning there was a video in my Dropbox.
Oh wow.
So and it was great. Like I barely even made any changes to it. Um, so I do like she mainly does, the rough cuts and just kind of cuts out any stupid stuff that I say or words that I mispronounce and then um sometimes she'll add music and effects like transitions and stuff like that. I kind of just let her do her own thing because to me that's also like rewarding in a way because I feel like oh she's expressing herself creatively. She gets to travel and do her stuff, and then I have another contractor who helps me with captioning and subtitles,
Okay.
and then that's basically it. Eventually, I'd like to hire someone to do social media stuff for me because social media is not really that fun
Yeah.
sometimes,
Like
but
the scheduling and posting.
yeah, specifically like Instagram, my Instagram feed, because like I keep trying to post to it, but
I
it's
remember
just
last time you were like, I hope I didn't kill my Instagram because you just, took it all out,
like I
took it all
wiped it
out.
all out. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much I've done that again, but I've left some posts on there. But mainly I mean, it says like right at the top of my Instagram bio, it says follow me for my stories. And by stories, I don't mean like my stories, I mean like my Instagram stories.
Right.
Because that's mainly where I post on Instagram and it goes away within 24 hours. And I don't feel pressured to have like this very um, perfect lifestyle or edited photos, which is what I feel like I need on my Instagram profile. And that kind of pressure, I just can't handle it. At least on Twitter, I can post 1,000 times a day and
It drowns it out.
yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Have you had some experiences in the past on Instagram that make you feel like that, or it's just more of like a higher level feeling that you'd rather put your effort somewhere else?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all those things. I feel like, particularly in the travel community, which I don't really like to say that I'm like the travel community, just because that already kind of comes with like this idea of what it is. Um, but I feel like when I go to Instagram profiles for females who are traveling, a lot of them have these beautiful photos that are just, I mean, they look like they're like National Geographic level. And I'm usually traveling by myself or like with one other person or with like a group of strangers. So to me, I can't really set up I can't do like a photo shoot. And I usually have just like my carry on. that's all I bring with me. It doesn't matter how long I'm going to be on the trip. Like I just have a carry on
So for
bag.
you, it's less
So
the backlash of other people. It's more that your standards for the quality isn't
right,
necessarily where you want it to be able to put
right.
the content out there.
And it's more like if you want to compete, if you want to stand out, if you want to be a part of the market, then that's like kind of what's there, you know. Um, and I kind of try to stray away from that. Like I've in the past year or so, I've been kind of just trying to do my own thing on Instagram and not really caring about that kind of thing. But the problem is that they don't perform as well, like those photos, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Instagram. I feel like the algorithms have changed over the past year or so. It seems like it's a
Well,
lot more
yeah. I mean,
competitive
I
too.
used to have a lot better performance and engagement on Instagram. Um, and then they changed the what's it called, the home feed. They changed it so that it wasn't in chronological order, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember that.
um, and when that switch happened, I think like within a couple of months, my engagement rate went down to 50%. So it really really hit me hard as far as that's concerned, but my Instagram stories still get like a few hundred uh, views.
Nice.
So, and
That's
it
great.
gets engagement. People click on stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to do this. I mean, I can't even link to stuff when I post pictures on my feed. So, might as
Yeah,
well put announcements and stuff on my stories where people could just swipe up.
yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about Create IRL a little bit then.
Yes.
When did you start that?
Well, I started that. Technically, I started it last year as far as the a concept behind it, which it started with Twit IRL, which so I've always kind of wanted to have some kind of conference or something. Like that's something that I've wanted to do for years. Um, Last year, I finally felt like I had this kind of community of people who needed something, like they needed each other and they weren't getting that. So, and I kind of felt that because like the year prior I had moved to a new city and I also did not have a community, and so I was like, you know what, I need to bring people together. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is a need and I'm going to fulfill it. And so last year I made a conference which was Twit IRL, which was supposed to be like Twitter in real life, bringing Twitter followers together. Um, and
I
you know,
remember
we
that.
yeah, we had a panel, we had food, um, and we had plenty of people. We had people who flew in just for that, so that was pretty cool. But of course, like I didn't want it to just be limited to Twitter, even though I love Twitter and Twitter's my country. But I didn't want it to just be about Twitter. Plus, the name Twit IRL is not that great. So, shortly after that, I mean, I was like, I think it was a month after that, I was going through names and all this stuff and talking to Carla, who was my friend, who I flew out from California just for this conference in Atlanta. I flew her out just to MC it.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so yeah, I flew her out. I bought her a bed, like I bought her like a foam mattress from IKEA. I was like, this is happening, you know. You're staying in my apartment. Um and and so like I was going back and forth with her and I'm like, I need a new name for this thing. Like Twit IRL isn't working, but like I want this to be an annual thing. Um and I want this to be a lot bigger than just Twitter and just a conference. This has to be something that continues year round. And so from there, Create IRL was born, and since then we've sort of had monthly meetups. I think it's averaged out has been more like every other month um, in Atlanta, which is where it started. And then we've already had another meetup in Miami, um, which was cool. Um, and so the idea behind it is to have ambassadors in the different hubs, which are the larger cities, and bringing people together for events, workshops, meetups, and things like that, so that they're able to create in real life, create IRL. It all comes together.
Nice. I think it's a great idea. I remember the Twit IRL. Like I liked the concept, but the name still I struggled with. So when you changed it to the Create IRL, I thought that was brilliant. I like that a lot.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean Twit IRL really was birthed from like a few tweets on Twitter. I was tweeting to people and I was like, "Listen guys, I want to do a conference and it's going to be for Twitter people." And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, like should we get like VR headsets?" Like, people were still like joking around like it was like a meme on Twitter. I'm like, "No guys, so the date is June 8th and it's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. Be there or be square." Um, and like that was just like it was just like a date that I just randomly picked on a calendar. I was like, okay, this seems like pretty much far out for me to organize a conference. It was
Right.
like 3 months out. um, and then I contacted Carla and I was like, hey, do you want to MC it? And then I tried to get panelists together, and then I put the word out, um, put the tickets, got sales, got a venue, and got food, and then just made it happen. But it was all very last. Definitely not the way that you should do a conference. But we got it done. So yeah, I mean, Twit IRL was like, yeah, what do we call it?
Yeah, that's great. I like that a lot. So I actually been thinking about something along those lines, but just like a little bit of a twist on it for helping thought leaders uh, build their voice.
Yeah,
Because I think there's a distinction between influencers and thought leaders, where influencers are people that grew an audience and have a community that they can have a significant voice in, and then thought leaders are people that have like expertise in certain subject matters. And just because you're a thought leader doesn't mean that you're an influencer, and just because you're an influencer doesn't mean you're a thought leader. So I've been
right.
thinking about, how I can bridge those two into some kind of community, um, and then maybe
Yeah,
make a conference around that.
yeah. I like that. That's kind of cool. Would you have workshops and stuff like that, like to help people with that kind of thing, like develop their thought
Yeah, I think
leadership?
so. I mean, I gotta, I have like a couple ideas. We can talk like after this if you want to go deeper into it, but it is something that I'm thinking about.
Sure, yeah, that's cool.
And I'd actually would love to get your feedback on it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's see, um, what's the future of Create IRL to you? Like, let's say it's going the way that you want it. You can get these ambassadors in other cities. The meetups start happening. The communities start happening. What does it look like, 5 years from now or 10 years from now? What's the future vision?
Oh, that's I mean it wasn't even in the works not even a year ago. So um I guess as far as, well, I do want to make an annual conference so that everybody can get together and plan to be there in a much larger scale. And I think,
When's the first year that you're aiming to have that happen?
well, it was going to be this year, but I moved, and also other global um,
Hmm.
things are happening. Um, and so I'm guessing, I think probably next year is more feasible, to give me time to be able to get sponsors and venue and all of that stuff, and special guests, which I have all of the contacts. I have all of the tools to do the thing. It's just a matter of like sitting down and putting everything together. Um,
Yeah,
But
I think a lot of people right now are putting conferences on hold. I've talked to a few people that, are thinking about starting one that have sort of been waiting to create a date now that the world is the way it is.
right, yeah. And well, what's interesting is that last month I started to do a online meetup with a group. So last month we had our first one, and it's basically just video chat. So it's just the only reason I say it's interesting is because we that I did this before, like everything happened, and now everyone's stuck indoors.
Right?
And so now, like, the plan is to be able to have an online meetup, to start at least once a month, so that everyone from everywhere can kind of, get on camera or get on mic, it doesn't matter, or just like in the chat and just kind of live talk. And then last month when we did it, it was, I think we were on the call for like 3 hours. The meetup lasted
Oh,
for
wow.
3 hours.
How many
Yeah, and there
people did you get to show up?
I'm actually not sure how many. So we used Google Hangouts, which was not really the best platform for that. Um, because mainly because there's no way to moderate it. So if people show up and start doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing on camera, or like they're unmuted and making very loud noises and stuff like that, there's no way to turn off their broadcast for everyone.
Hmm.
Since it's really not meant to be that way, it's meant to be for like professional meetings. Not to say that we're not professional, but I with all those members, it's kind of hard to know who's going to show up.
Yeah.
Um, so nothing bad happened during the meeting. It was actually really, really great. Like the meetup was awesome, and like people's comments afterwards were very, very positive towards it. And I think we're going to have another one this Saturday, um, possibly for this month. And I guess the idea behind it is just to get people together to be able to talk and stuff. Um,
So do you have any ideas for platforms for the next one? Are you thinking like Zoom or what are you thinking? Or have you
yeah,
done
so
research yet?
yeah, there's a couple. So there's Jump in Chat, which I think we might use for this one, and I'm going to see how it goes. Even though like most of these platforms have a limit of how many people can be on camera, um, but the platform seems pretty easy and it's free, and I can't really complain with free stuff. But I think it'll probably be good because then people will be able to jump in text chat as well. So if they don't want to, if they can't get on mic or on, they're still able to be a part of it. If not, there's also Whereby, but Whereby, in order to get like the really good stuff, you have to pay by month, um, which might not be something that's totally out of the spectrum. If eventually, like, we get donations or sponsors or something like that. But yeah, for right now, I guess that's what we'll be using. But um, yeah.
All right. So, let's see. As far as building, let's talk a little bit about building the community. Do you have any, like, for people out there that are maybe thinking about building communities, um, or maybe just started one, but looking for better ways to, get people in there and ramp it up? Do you have any advice for, people that are looking to start online community?
I would say to not only think about the online community but also offline. So starting with organizing events. So going to places like Meetup or Eventbrite and organizing events really helps, as far as, because online you're looking at a screen and usernames, and you don't really get the idea that there's people behind that. I mean, you obviously know, but it's not the same as like making the connection of, oh, these are like real people with real needs. And I think that doing stuff in real life has helped me to be able to recognize those kinds of needs in people. And just the idea, I mean, like as far as doing events and stuff like that, I think Twit IRL was my first event, but previous to that, I had, I've been doing production for forever. So I've had to organize crews of 30, 40, 50 people and with like, expensive camera equipment and just like all of those logistics that come together, that kind of thing has given me the experience that I need to be able to know how to handle people um, on a bigger scale, outside of my circle of friends.
Yeah, those are like the stepping stones to the skills necessary to run something that is on a larger level in an in-person environment.
Right. I feel like that kind of thing has helped me. Obviously, like you don't have to do. I know other people who have their own online communities and they've never done anything offline ever. Which is totally fine too. But I
But
feel
you're
like it
saying
does
that
help.
there's a disadvantage to not doing it offline as well. Like the component
Yeah.
is missing
Yeah.
something.
Right. And then like if people see that you're someone who's doing stuff in the real world, I feel like that also holds a little bit of weight, and gives you some kind of credibility when you're trying to do that kind of stuff online, which anybody can do, right? I mean, anybody can start their own Discord server, Slack channel, or whatever they're called, team, Slack team. Um,
Right.
Anybody can do those things. So it's just a matter of like, why, why should I join yours?
I like that a lot. So a lot of people with online communities, they might be missing the component of doing it live and then showing that they're doing it live to show that you're a real person and that this is something that's happening for real. So then you can bring that back to the online community and it sort of full circle affects just the whole energy and vibe of the community.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like there's definitely this. Oh, hi,
Hey,
Joey.
hey Joey.
There's definitely a disconnect between the offline and online world, just because the online world is so easy. So we think like, oh, we'll just do the thing. Like people will come. You build it, and people will come. Um, when there's
So Comic Crusader just asked, what's the best way to get subs on your Discord server?
Search server. Is that what they're called? Subs? Or are we talking about how to get subs?
I think it's talking about the Discord server.
Okay. I didn't know they were called subs. Okay.
Well, I think he's probably newer. I think he's in my Discord server, and it
Oh,
might.
okay. I
Um,
mean, I don't know. I have no idea. So I actually had to learn how to use Discord, like real quick. Um, because so I had put all these different platforms out on Twitter and I said, "Hey guys, I want to make this community. Which one do we want to use?" The highest vote was for Discord. And I was like, "Oh man, okay." So I had to I had to learn how to use Discord and and I guess like it to get members on the Discord, I did it in a way where I limited how many people could join. So there was this demand and exclusivity to it, um, which I feel like is still there even a few months later. Because people will ask me, hey, like, when are you going to open up invites again? I want to invite my friend. As
yeah,
opposed to just asking me, hey, could I have an invite? Which they totally could, right? But
right.
they don't. They'd ask me, hey, when are you going to open up invites
I
again?
think that
Like,
works.
like as
I
if it
think that's
only
good.
happens like like when the moon is full, like but yeah, I mean that kind of thing I think just kind of sets up this idea that um hey, if you don't join now, who knows when you're going to be able to join again.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the
No,
exclusivity I think helps.
yeah, don't be sorry, Comic. Comic says sorry for the language. No,
So what's the term then? If it's not subs for Discord?
I have no idea. I'm telling you, I'm new to Discord. I've only like really been ingrained in it in the last 3 months when I've, building the community, but I've been calling them members. I like the idea of members. It just kind of sounds cool. It sounds like you're part of a club.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm similar too. I started mine a couple months ago, and I've got, I don't know, 30 people in it or something like that. Nothing crazy.
um,
So like something I've been struggling with is, especially in the older aged communities, they've and even in our aged communities, people have never heard of Discord, and the barrier to getting people in there has been high for me. I
yeah.
feel like I've lost more people than I've gotten because of that. So I've been trying to avoid the Facebook group at all costs. It's just like a core to me, but I
Right.
feel like I'm just gonna end up caving in and having two communities because I don't know how to, you know, get there with only one because it's either one or the other, and they both lack certain things. So, what are
So
your thoughts on that?
I've definitely like I'm not new to creating an online community. I should have mentioned that as well because um like I've had my Facebook groups um from a couple years ago. Like they're a few years old. I have a Facebook group that's called the Reject the 9 to 5 group, and that's for remote and freelance workers and people who are working from home. And so I have that group, and I think that was I have that group, and then I also was starting groups for YouTubers. Um, and I have one that is like for LA, I have one for New York, Miami, Atlanta. So I had like all these different ones. And they each have like their own uh, members, but I felt like going onto Facebook was very hard to talk to all of these people because unless there was a post, like it didn't feel like there was a discussion that was happening. Um, and then because of like how Facebook works and stuff, um, anybody could post something out there and then not get a response or not get feedback. So the needs of the community were not being met. And I also felt like I was alienating certain people because so I have like my Los Angeles group and then I have my New York group. But then what happens when somebody is from New York is in LA? Like then they're going to have to join the LA group. But then they're in the LA group now and then they go back to New York, which is where they live. And now we have like a member in the LA group that's just like there, that should be there, right?
Right.
So like all this stuff is just kind of um like it kind of built up to the point where I just wanted it to be more consolidated. And so that's why I went onto Twitter, and for me like I love Slack. I use Slack for my work, like my remote teams that I'm a part of, and for other communities too. Like I'm definitely like more of a Slack person on my personal life. It's just a little bit easier for me to use. But when I asked the community where they wanted to be, everybody voted for Discord. So that's kind of what I went with, and I really don't second guess it at all because I feel like okay, if there are other people who want to be on Facebook, then I'll let them create their own community on Facebook because I would rather have one community and manage it very well than spreading myself thin for the 10-20% who don't want to learn a new platform.
Yeah,
And I've had
I
plenty
agree
of
with that.
people who have joined the Discord server and have said, "Hey, like I don't know anything about Discord, but I'm ready to learn." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." Like
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Discord and I'm managing the group. Like
Right? So one piece of advice someone gave me recently, because I've been struggling this for with this for a while, because I just don't want to be in Facebook groups.
Right.
But someone suggested creating a Facebook group, and then in the description just saying, this is a low engagement area. If you want to engage with us, move over to Discord. That way you have got somewhere on their platform that they can go on and have a low expectation with, and then have a link back to the Discord community. What do you
Yeah.
think about something like that?
I think that's a great idea. I might actually do that myself because what I've did was with some of my groups, um, not my LA one because it's still very much engaging and there's a few hundred members in that one and it's very specific to LA YouTubers. Um, that one is still open and pretty active. But for all of my other groups, I posted several times, hey, I'm going to close this group on this date. You're not going to be able to engage with the other members in this group. So if you care, join the Discord. And I basically just posted that several times. And then when the date came, I turned off the ability to post. So people aren't able to post or comment or do anything on there. So it's
Okay.
essentially like as if it was a dead group, pretty much, because only I can post on it. Only admins can post on it. Um, but yeah, I mean, adding it to the description, I think, is a great idea too, because if if someone does find it, because I mean, there's still people who find my Facebook groups, um, especially my remote one, because I mentioned it in one of my videos that has a lot of views. So I get constant traffic to that group. Um, but yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Cool. Yeah, so I think we answered comics question with what do you think that attracts people to
People to
Discord. That
Discord.
came in a little bit ago. I just
Yeah,
haven't
well,
featured
I,
it.
I would say that what attracts people to Discord is just the trend of it. It's just if all of your friends are hanging out by the water cooler, then you're gonna hang out by the water cooler. So
Yeah. He does a follow-up question, which is, do you have any tips for managing multiple groups or pages? It sounds like what you did is sort of find a way to consolidate all that down to the Discord group. Um,
yeah, and then also like if you do have a Facebook group. So what I was doing was I would have discussions and topics and things that I would have on a weekly basis, but I would schedule it out. So it was essentially just copying and pasting the same thing into each one of the groups and then scheduling it out for like months as far as because Facebook group has a limit of how many posts you can schedule in advance. I think it's like a month and a half or something like that. And so I would just do that like every couple months. I would just schedule posts where it would be like, "Hey, share the latest project that you're working on," or what's going on with you today, or Happy Valentine's Day. Like it was just everything was just like scheduled out for a couple months on all of the groups, and since there was really no crossover like that much between the groups because they were geography based. It was I just copied and pasted the same content for each one of them, so they all had something to engage with. Um, but yeah, consolidating
that's a
it
good idea.
definitely helps.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I think scheduling the posts out on Facebook, and since you had very similar groups, just different locations, copying them between them, I think that was
Right.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Oh.
clarifying that. So the proper language is members for Discord communities. It's
Yay.
been
Okay.
confirmed.
So I haven't been saying it wrong.
Um, so you're still active, obviously, on RedRomina. So have you heard uh, anything from anybody in your community recently, as far as like somebody that you've impacted in some way that you haven't didn't intend or didn't expect?
um, I hate to say it, but I get comments like that all the time. And like I sometimes like I really should be more grateful or more like I guess I don't know what the word is, but it's not that I'm not grateful, but like I don't notice it anymore. I've been desensitized to that. Uh, I feel like there's this like I mean I get comments like all the time about that, you know, and I think it's mainly because people will well, here's so one of the funny ones is I actually have a video where I talk about having a lack of sense of smell, and it's one of my more popular videos. This was like very, very early on in my YouTube career. That's why it has nothing to do with travel. um, well, not my YouTube career, but like this channel, right? It was one of my first videos that I posted, and I get comments all the time from people who tell me, "Wow, this is so cool. I thought I was the only one." um, so I mean, there's stuff like that all the time, um, and there's let's see, yeah. I mean, I get all these,
So do you like? I mean, that's an old video.
yeah.
So I'm curious how you treat it. Do you go back there when you get those comments and reply to all those, or how do you handle getting the ongoing content from those old videos?
So I do have, I've got the studio app, like the YouTube studio app on my
Hmm.
phone, which just kind of has all the comments for like, so you see the thumbnail changes because that's like the comments for old videos, new videos, whatever. It's all uh, consolidated. So I kind of just, I check this like all the time. It's pretty much just like texting my viewers, you know, because like I'll see it and I'll see there's new comments on something that's old, and sometimes people will comment on something and then they'll timestamp it, and then I'm just like rolling my eyes because it's like a video that I made like 4 years ago, and of course I don't remember what happened at 3 minutes and 12 seconds from a video that I did 12 like 3 years ago. Like I'm not going to remember that, but then they'll comment on something or they'll say something like a little bit more generic where I'm just like, huh, like did I really not mention that or did I really say that wrong? And like then I have to like go back to the video, like if I actually care, then I'll go back into the
Yeah,
video and I'm like, oh man, like this person's right or this person didn't even watch the video. They're just hating.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, you gotta, I guess, deal with a lot of comments like that come up. If there's haters out there, or you just have to be able to withstand the constructive criticism whenever people give that.
Right.
All right. So as far as a new influencer goes, let's say a YouTuber. I know you've given advice on last time we talked about that, but do you have any, major advice for a new YouTuber in today's world?
Major advice. Like in terms, all right, I guess like the thing that I do the most is just I just tell people that they just need to start and just start creating. um I think it also depends on what your goals are with um with doing this whole YouTube stuff. For some people it's just getting better at communicating, getting better at public speaking or being in front of the camera, or just sharing something that they're interested in, sharing something that they have a lot of knowledge in, who are not necessarily looking to just be a vlogger or just be a personality. Um, so I think it really depends on what that person is looking or setting out to do with
So they're
that.
they're why.
Yeah, their why.
All right.
Why they want to influence. um,
All right.
But
So let's give you a hypothetical scenario then. How about your remote Romina YouTube channel that you just created? Um,
mhm.
if you were to put a ton of energy into that, make that your one main thing, how would you proceed? Like if everything else on your plate just disappeared completely, never existed, like what would be your tactic or strategy with your remote Romina?
Well, um, I guess with that, I have my strategy with remote Romina is to help people work from home or have their own businesses. The idea behind it is to help them make money in a way that will be freeing so that they're able to do more of the other stuff that is important to them. So, whether that is spending more time with your family or traveling more or binge watching the entire Star Trek franchise. So, that kind of thing where that's my goal with that. And it's mainly because I have all this experience and knowledge that I want to share, but I don't have a friend or a cousin who specifically wants to do that. So I have all this knowledge in my head that I want to share, but nobody to deliver to except on the internet. So, um,
That makes
so that's
sense.
kind of my goal with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, uh, one of my previous guests, he had a YouTube channel called SUV RVing. Before coming on, he watched a bunch of my episodes, and he was like, he gave me feedback at the end, and he was saying like he'd like to learn more about how these people are making a living, because that's something that he's doing, and he's listening to episodes, and he's getting a lot of value from hearing what other people are saying, but not necessarily hearing the tips for how to make money. And for him, he developed some products for making living in your SUV easier, like pouches to put on the back of your headrest, or random little products. And he has an e-commerce store,
Mm,
and so then at the end of every video, he just shouts out his little e-commerce store, and that brings him more money than the ad revenue from his YouTube channel.
right. Yeah,
So
that's another thing too. I mean, if you are just looking for lead generation, YouTube's a great place to do it. Um, but that also would completely change the type of content that you're putting out there. Um, but I mean, for me, it's always been like when I first started YouTube in 2006, it was just a place for me to post videos that I was already making on my own, and um, and being able to share it with either the people who were in the videos or my friends that I had online. Um, so I think that I think that for me, it's definitely a passion of just wanting to create and wanting to put myself out there, whether it is through education, educational type videos, videos that provide that kind of value to people, or if it's purely just entertainment or creativity, or it's just because I'm really good at doing something like making animal noises. So, and just wanting to share that, it's
yeah, and that's actually it's a hidden skill from the bulk of your followers, because it's on this secret YouTube channel, right?
right. Yeah. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, then like, I guess you know, but if you know, you know.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things of just like putting it out there. And then I guess like if people find it, whatever, they're going to find it. They're going to find this random channel and just be like, what is this? Like this girl, she just posted this one video and
Right.
that's it. Yeah. I mean, I also have an ASMR channel too, which I would like to post more to. But again, it's like none of these things, like I want them to distract me from my main thing, which is RedRomina and like my business. But these are things that I like. And like I love ASMR and I love that community and like what ASMR has done for me. And so if I'm able to be a part of it as well, then that's what um, fuels me, I guess.
All right. So if you don't mind sharing, um, so like what is your like main sources of income in regards to, what it is that you're doing? Because, it'd be interesting to hear.
So that fluctuates a lot, especially because like the YouTube, like as far as AdSense is concerned, it just changes so much. Where 1 month you'll be making a lot, and then the next month not as much. At least that's how it's been for me, just because of the fact that my channel fluctuates in the views that it gets. I'll definitely have content that will get hundreds and thousands of views, and then I'll have content that will get a whole lot less than that. But because of that, it kind of balances out where I do have residual income from that. Um, and then there's also sponsors that I get every once in a while, which I don't really do a lot of sponsor outreaching. And it's not because I don't want to, it's just because it's a full time job. And it's really not as fun
Right.
to reach out to a company that I maybe don't care too much about, but just want their money. Um, which like I don't I'm not I've never been like a huge brand person, so I'm not familiar with a lot of brands. And so and I barely get Instagram ads for stuff. So it's just like who do I contact? I don't know. So I'd rather do stuff with like travel companies. That's why I have experiences, and so I get paid in experiences. Um, and sometimes I do get paid on top of that as well, which is nice. It's nice to be able to experience and get paid.
Right.
um, but that kind of thing, it comes, quarterly. It just depends on what's happening, what countries are trending, and what's going on. Um, but there's also I get residual income from my acting as well, from just being on, like having been in movies or shows or things like that. And then there's obviously the stuff that I do, like the production work that I do, as far as helping brands and other people with like their social media advertising. So like that's something that brings in a nice sum of income when I have a contract for that. Um, and I guess that's it. Oh well, I did launch a course in January.
Oh, okay.
I guess we didn't mention that, but yeah, I launched a course in January, and it's my first course, and I plan on making more because it's so much fun. It's a lot of work, but it is very fun, and it is rewarding to see exactly how I'm impacting people through that. Um, because they'll leave you reviews afterwards, and that's pretty cool.
What's
Uh,
the course? You can't
so
leave us hanging there.
so the course, it's on Udemy. So I decided to use the Udemy platform, which, if you don't know, is basically a marketplace for courses. So think of YouTube, but it's for courses, and
I
you have
found
to
it.
pay
Optimize
for them.
productivity and organize your life.
Yes, that's me.
Well, you got 4 ratings and a 4.8, s-
Yeah,
4.8 stars. That's great.
pretty good, huh? I'm not doing so bad. Um, for having launched, I guess, a month or two ago. I don't know when I actually, well, because I launched it and then I didn't actually promote it until like 2 or 3 weeks later because I'm not smart. But
Well,
this is
now
my
might be a
first
good time to
course.
promote it because a lot of people at home.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And this is definitely a good time for me to post a few videos. Like I've already been going through my head because so when I do remote work, I usually I do quote unquote work from home, but I do work from coffee shops a lot. Like I'll go out every day. And I might go to coffee shop, I might go to library. Like there's a lot of public spaces to go to, where I can just take my laptop and work for hours. Um,
Hey, Daniel.
and hi, Daniel. And I feel like that kind of gives me what I need as far as human interaction. So I'm not necessarily, talking to people or talking to coworkers, but I am in a coffee shop where there's a lot of noise, there's life, there's people, there's plates banging or coffee, mugs, and there's like music, and it's just there's stuff that's happening. So um now that I've kind of been stuck indoors for like the past few days, where I've been trying, social distancing. So I've been trying to not go out at all. And the past few days has just been a lot of me being in my room, which I'm not a stranger to, but not for so many days in a row because I'm completely alone and there's really nothing that's going on except for me and my desk. Um, and and so I do want to make a video talking about that where because I've in the last few days, like I've been taking notes of the stuff that I've been doing to kind of help myself not have cabin fever, and not go completely insane. So it's like, okay, you work from home, but you can't leave the house. What do you do? So definitely, I think I've gotten some ideas for that kind of thing to put onto my remote Romina channel. So I hope to film some of that stuff. If not today, then tomorrow, definitely, because I want to get that. I want to get that out ASAP. But aside from that, like, yeah, this course definitely has to be thrown in there somewhere because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's my first course. It's the first time that I've done this. It took me um, a week to outline the entire thing, and then another week to film it, and then it took me a few weeks to edit the whole thing. Um, and it kind of like I spread it out over a really long period of time just because of um, all of this. Hey, that's me.
There it is.
Showing off my course. Um, yeah, I mean, it took me a while just because I had other stuff going on, and I didn't outsource this. I did this course completely by myself because it was my first one, and I wanted to know what I was getting into and what I was doing. Um, and oh wow, look at that! 66 students enrolled. When did that happen?
It's quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh man, let's get that number to 100. Let's go. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, like, that's cool because I have only used Twitter to promote this course. I have not made any videos where I talk about this. It's not listed in the
That's amazing. You're already
description.
at 66 then.
Yeah. And it's not in the description of any of my YouTube videos. Um, yeah,
Well,
that's
I'll link
pretty
to it
great.
for this
Yeah.
episode. All right. I know we're running out of time here, so I wanted to see, knowing that our listeners are oftentimes people that are either struggling to get their voice out there or to increase their reach. Do you have any last words for our listeners before I open the floor?
Hmm. For them because
Let's say people that are struggling to share their voice, for maybe they're just more introverted or aren't
mhm.
accustomed to sharing. Uh,
Yeah,
what would be some of your last words for them?
that can be kind of challenging because like I'm introverted as far as like being vulnerable and sharing who I am. Um, and I'm a pretty private person, as far as my own personal life and what I'm doing, my business, and all of these things. But then I've also built a platform that depends on me sharing about those things. So I like to make my life difficult, apparently. But as far as as what helps to kind of get out of that little funk is continuing to put yourself in that situation. And what I like to tell people, which I'm sure you've heard before, Jeremy, is to just record yourself and just film yourself and just keep doing it and realize that nobody has to watch it. Nobody has to listen to what you just recorded. The only way that someone will ever see what you've just done is if you publish it somewhere. And that is going to be completely your choice. And it's going to be your intention. Like, if you don't do it, nobody's going to see it. So if you can practice, keep putting yourself on camera, keep talking, keep doing that so that you do get comfortable with communicating. And eventually, if you feel comfortable posting it online, you will get people who will give you feedback or encouragement. You'll also get haters as well. Don't think that you're exclusive, because everybody gets them. Even the most lovable people. I mean, there's people out there who don't like Tom Hanks. So there's all kinds of, there's medicine for everybody. So if you don't, you can't really think about the reception that you'll get so much as if you keep putting yourself out there, you will learn. And like, if you go to my channel, I think it says, I don't know if it says it anymore, but YouTube used to say how many videos, but I think I have like maybe 300 videos or something on my RedRomina channel. But my RedRomina channel was like my 5th channel, everybody. Since 2006, I've probably made over 1,000 videos, like, not even exaggerating. So, and it took me until this point to be able to get to where I am right now. So
That's huge advice. Thanks for sharing that.
yeah.
So I'm going to link everything to you on the show notes on my website, whyinfluence.com. But what's, is Twitter the main place to find you, or where should people connect with you?
Yeah, probably Twitter if you actually want to get a response from me. You can try Instagram. I do post on Instagram stories, and I do reply to my DMs on there, but it's definitely a lot easier for me to engage in a conversation on Twitter. And that's at RedRomina for both of them. So if you do enjoy Instagram more, then I will oblige. But yeah, Twitter's probably the best place. But then also my website, just redromina.com is great. I have a contact form on a bunch of different pages on my website. So I'm not hard to find or contact. So if you do contact me, and if I want to talk to you, you'll hear back from me.
Awesome. Well, before I let you go and end the interview, I like to get constructive criticism or feedback, or just any of your thoughts on this conversation or how we've been engaging for the podcast. Do you have any feedback for me and the Why Influence podcast?
I think it was great. I mean, it's definitely a lot different from the last time that we got together. Because last time we got together, you didn't have the video stuff, and also I think were you using Zoom?
I was using Zoom, and I actually went back and re-recorded myself asking every question in post editing. So like, it was a lot of extra work on top of that for my first 3 episodes.
Oh no, I didn't know that. Yeah, I remember recording my own audio for that and offering it to you, I think, which I usually offer anybody because sometimes that's helpful to have extra audio. But yeah, I mean, this is great. I like the video aspect of it. I like that the audience can engage if they want to during the live recording of the podcast. And then I think it's also great, like, you kind of kept a structure, but then at the same time, we're open to new tangents and other topics that maybe you weren't expecting to get when you first started the interview. So I think that was good too.
Well, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Well, if you want to learn more about Romina, you heard where you can follow her. I also have all the information on the show notes of this episode at whyinfluence.com, whyinfluence.com. And yeah, thanks for coming on today, Romina, and I look forward to seeing you sometime in the future in another episode.
Yes, I would love that as well. Thank you for having me.